Welcome into college football now. I am Harrison Graham. It's transfer portal season as Houston quarterback D'Eriq King has entered the transfer portal as if things couldn't get worse for Houston sports fans after the past couple of days. D'Eriq King is the latest incident here as he is going into the transfer portal. He announced that on Monday. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he is going to transfer, but more likely than not, when guys enter the transfer portal, that means they are moving on. If you guys remember, King played the first 4 games this year for the University of Houston, decided to take a red shirt after Houston started 1-3. All the chatter at the time was we're just going to take the rest of the season off, come back fresh in 2020. Now it looks like King is moving on to another program. He becomes the #1 player on the transfer market for 2020, especially at the quarterback position. Undersized player, but very, very productive. What he did in 2018, 36 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions passing, had 50 touchdowns in total when you factor in his rushing stats. True dual threat quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks over the last several years in college football. A lot of people aren't aware of his skill set because he played at the University of Houston, but his passing numbers, his rushing numbers, I mentioned that 2018 season when he had 50 touchdowns in total, including 14 rushing, was already on his way to a big season this year before deciding to redshirt under the new 4-game redshirt rule. So he's got 1 year of eligibility remaining. We'll get into my top 10 destinations in just a moment. But first, question for you guys. Where will D'Eriq King transfer? Where will he transfer to? I think there's a lot of schools out there that make some sense. You might get hit with a YouTube ad break. If you do, scroll down. This will be the pinned comment. Answer the question, where will D'Eriq King transfer? Scroll back up. The video will be back and playing. Number 10 school here, the Arizona WILDCATS. Khalil Tate is graduating from Arizona. A couple of options for Arizona moving forward. Rhett Rodriguez, you got Grant Gunnell. Here's the bottom line. Kevin Sumlin does not deserve D'Eriq King. I'm sorry. He broke Khalil Tate. I'll never forgive him for that. They're certainly going to try and bring in D'Eriq King, but Khalil Tate regressed severely under Kevin Sumlin. If I'm D'Eriq King and I'm looking to try and bolster my NFL draft status, I am not going to Arizona, but the Wildcats will certainly try and go after D'Eriq King. Number 9, how about Ole Miss? New head coach, the Lane train is in Oxford. This would be fun, right? Now, Ole Miss has a couple of young quarterbacks. Matt Corral, you got John Reese Plumlee, a couple of guys. JRP is more of a running threat like D'Eriq King, but King obviously is a really good passer as well. I think he'd be a good stopgap option. Let those guys develop more. They were both freshmen last year. Let those guys take a step back, get some excitement going with Lane Kiffin, bring in D'Eriq King. I think that becomes a competitive team in the SEC West. Obviously, very challenging division in college football, the toughest in college football. But I think D'Eriq King in Oxford would be a lot of fun. I've got them at number 9. Now, here are some other teams that didn't quite crack my top 10 that could make some sense for D'Eriq King. You got the Kansas Jayhawks, Les Miles. They actually did some good things this year, but Carter Stanley graduated. Maybe they're looking for a graduate transfer. Georgia Tech, big recruiting class coming in over there as they continue to transition into the spread offense. How do you expedite that process? You bring in a guy like D'Eriq King. I think they'll certainly be interested. How about Mike Leach at Mississippi State? Their quarterback play was brutal this year. I don't think King fits that air raid system that well, but Leach is a smart guy. He could tinker the system a little bit for 1 year. That would be interesting. And then the Washington Huskies as well. Jacob Eason turning pro. They have some question marks at quarterback. Those are some other schools that make sense for D'Eriq King. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. I know a lot of you fans are NFL fans as well. It's Championship Sunday coming up in just a few days. Go bet on both these games at BetDSI. NFC title game, 49ers 7.5-point favorites over the Packers. Just 45 is where the over-under is set. I actually like the over in this game. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CFB120. Also go bet on the AFC title game. Chiefs also 7.5-point favorites. A little higher over-under in this one at 53. Wouldn't be surprised if the under is hit there, as Tennessee likes to run the football, shorten the game. You can bet on all sporting events at BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CFB120. Get signed up with BetDSI today. Number 8 team here, I got the Tennessee Volunteers, who actually finished pretty strong in 2019, finished with an 8-5 record, got a couple of quarterback options moving forward. It's been a little shaky since Josh Dobbs left a couple of years ago. Jarrett Garantano finished the year pretty strong for Tennessee, but he didn't exactly light it up. As you look at him and Brian Maher, the other quarterback who played a decent amount this year, Maher was brutal, which is why they went back to Garantano. 59%, 2,100 yards, did finish the year strong, 16-8 touchdown to interception ratio. He certainly played better, but I think Tennessee's got a decent roster and could be a sneaky pick in the SEC East. Obviously, Florida and Georgia are going to be good next year. You get D'Eriq King, though, that changes things drastically. That would be a big get for the Tennessee Volunteers. Number 7 team, as we go through the top 10 transfer destinations for Houston quarterback D'Eriq King, who entered the transfer portal in the last couple of days. Oklahoma, right? I'm sure you guys are shocked they aren't higher on our list. 3 straight years of transfer quarterbacks for Lincoln Riley, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and of course Jalen Hurts, a couple of Heisman winners and the runner-up in Hurts this past season. He might have won it if it wasn't for the unbelievable season for Joe Burrow. Lincoln Riley loves himself a transfer quarterback. I just think it's finally time for him to play his own guy, and I think he will in Spencer Rattler, freshman 5-star from this past year. Redshirt in 2019, he's ready to go. Shouldn't they just go with Rattler? What do you guys think? I think just play Spencer Rattler. If I'm Spencer Rattler and D'Eriq King comes in, I might transfer myself. So do you really want to risk that if you are Lincoln Riley? I think I just play Rattler, take my chances. He's a 5-star for a reason. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Number 6 team, the Michigan State Spartans. Yikes, the quarterback play has been brutal the last couple of years. Thank goodness. This might be addition from subtraction. I don't think I said that phrasing right. Addition by subtraction. Brian Lewerke is gone. Thank God we don't have to watch him anymore. He was brutal after a good sophomore year. His junior and senior season were bad. Rocky Lombardi is next up. He's worse. I've watched this guy play a couple of times. He's got gold locks. I don't know if he's still rocking that hairdo, but it's about as ugly as his play on the field. Not very good. Michigan State certainly could use a transfer quarterback of D'Eriq King's abilities. I doubt they'll get him, but I certainly think that they will try. Now, if this is your first time watching Chat Sports and college football stuff on Chat Sports, it's mock draft season. My guy Tom Downey is the best in the business. Mock draft season. He's already had several come out. Be on the lookout on the channel for his updated mock just next week. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. And it's not just the boring, same old mock drafts 1 through 32 every single time. He does draft sleepers. He does under the radar prospects, overrated prospects, all kinds of stuff. My guy Tom Downey has you covered here on Chat Sports. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Hit that big red button to subscribe so you know when all of our videos go up on the channel. Top 5 here, we got the Florida State Seminoles. Kind of like Tennessee, hasn't had really good quarterback play in a while, really since Jameis Winston left. I'm tired of watching James Blackman. I mean, they tried to bring in Alex Hornibrook this past year. That was kind of a disaster, the Wisconsin transfer. He wasn't good at Wisconsin. Why would he be good at Florida State? He's moving on. Blackman, if you believe it or not, is only going to be a redshirt junior. I swear I was in high school when he was a freshman at Florida State. Hasn't improved. He's pretty brutal to watch. Very erratic passer. Turns the ball over a lot. Very inconsistent altogether. I'm tired of watching him. I would like to see D'Eriq King play in Mike Norvell's system. I think that would be a lot of fun to watch. And please, can we get someone in the ACC to challenge Clemson? It is just a disaster. It's Clemson and everybody else. I would love to see D'Eriq King at Florida State. Speaking of the ACC, we got the Miami Hurricanes. Same boat. They can't find a quarterback. It's been a while since they've had competent quarterback play. Stephen Morse is about the last decent one they had. This year they tried 3 of them. Jaron Williams, Cozy Perry, Tate Martell played a little bit. We know how that all went. He is not very good at all. I think Jaron Williams enters next season as the starter, but this is the play we saw this year. Perry is gone. I don't think Martell's a college quarterback at this point. Wouldn't surprise me if he just switched to receiver in the offseason. Yes, that's correct. Negative 68 rushing yards for Williams in 2019. Showed some good things, but kind of like a couple of these other schools, you bring in a guy like D'Eriq King, let him take a step back, maybe even get a redshirt year next year, and then in 2021 you hand the offense to Jaron Williams. He's a much more mature player for them. I think that makes some sense for D'Eriq King and Miami. Which Florida school is better? Right now, not all time, right now. Miami, Florida State. Type M for Miami, type F for Florida State. I mean, aren't they kind of equally not great? I mean, that's kind of where I am with really the entire ACC outside of Clemson. Type M for Miami, type F for Florida State. Let me know what you guys think. Top 3 schools here. We got the Arkansas Razorbacks. They played about 20 quarterbacks last year. Okay, that's an exaggeration. Only 5 quarterbacks last year, including Jerry Jones' grandson, John Stephen Jones, who, by the way, the only reason he even went to Arkansas is because Jerry Jones hooked up Chad Morris with that job in the first place, and now Chad Morris is at Auburn as their offensive coordinator. This is what they've got right now on the depth chart: KJ Jefferson, John Stephen Jones, and Jack Lindsey. Look at those combined stats. 46%, 434 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. No QBs coming in this current class. So it would make sense in terms of if you're D'Eriq King, okay, I can go to Arkansas, I'm the starter day one, and I can play in the SEC. Here's my problem. Do you want to go play for Arkansas, who has no talent? They've got no talent. Chad Morris didn't recruit there at all. They are so far away from competing in the SEC, and King only has 1 year. I kind of think staying at Houston is a better option than going to Arkansas. I mean, I'm typing my H. Pick a program there, Houston or Arkansas. Guys, if you aren't aware, Arkansas lost to Western Kentucky and San Jose State this year. I'm typing my H for the Houston Cougars. Still got lots of college football gear on sale for you guys. Tons of team, every team. Chatsports.com/NCAA gear. Tons of gear up to 50% off. We got jerseys, we got hats, we got t-shirts, polos, shoes, socks, all kinds of stuff, including this zip-up LSU jacket. Speaking of LSU, I know you LSU fans are watching. We still got national championship gear. Congrats to the LSU Tigers. Tons of gear, t-shirts, long sleeves. The link is chatsports.com/champions for that 15-0 season. We got LSU national championship gear right there. Go to that link, chatsports.com/champions. And for just other NCAA gear, go to chatsports.com/NCAA gear. And speaking of LSU, I've got them number 2 for good reason, right? Joe Burrow's gone. They got to replace Joe Brady as well. We'll see how that plays out. But they could use a quarterback. Miles Brennan, they're high on him in Baton Rouge, but he hadn't played a lot. And when he has played, you know, he's looked like a backup. 60%, 600 yards, 2 TDs, 3 picks. I'm not going to judge him on his numbers. Didn't get to play in Joe Brady's system hardly at all. He moves on. We'll see how the offense looks without him. But D'Eriq King to LSU would be a lot of fun, and in my opinion, would give them the best chance to repeat as national champions over any quarterback on their roster. Top team here, we got the Oregon Ducks. You lose Justin Herbert. They tried to get Jamie Newman, the Wake Forest transfer, who headed to Georgia, so Georgia's got their guy. I think this makes a lot of sense. Quarterbacks like King have played at Oregon in the past, the dual threat system. Now, Mario Cristobal, let's not get it twisted. This is not a Chip Kelly style team. They're a more physical, run the football, play defense type of team, but I think that can work for King. They'll certainly tinker their offense. They did some zone read stuff with Justin Herbert. They'll build around King if they bring him in. You bring in Joe Moorhead, who was running the offense for Trace McSorley back at Penn State before he went to Mississippi State. They ran a dual threat scheme. I think a read option scheme as well. I think that works for D'Eriq King. Their projected guy, Tyler Shaw, I don't know much about him at all. Obviously, Herbert's been their guy the last several years. If you're Oregon, you want to win the Pac-12, get into the college football playoff next season, and the Pac-12 is wide open, you bring in D'Eriq King. That's why I've got the Ducks at number 1. I'm going to ask you guys one more time, where will D'Eriq King transfer if he transfers? If you think he's going back to Houston, go ahead and comment below. I think he's going to transfer. I'm going to say the Oregon Ducks. I think that makes the most logical sense. He can improve as a player. Justin Herbert developed there, and he can have a chance to compete for a college football playoff spot. I've got D'Eriq King heading to Oregon.